Is it possible to sell everything in your eBay store if you're a clothing seller within 90 days? The answer is yes. There are people that do it really consistently, where their sold listings on their store are equivalent to their active listings in terms of total quantity, or their solds are larger. I found 50 people who hit that benchmark and analyzed their stores along different metrics to try to figure out what the secret sauce is, and I think I have a pretty clear picture. These are all clothing resellers, and most of them resell men's clothing. It's skewed that way because of the brands that I searched to find them, the High-Sellthrough men's brands that I know. You can do it with women's too. Out of the 50, 11 of them ran auctions. The majority of them just ran a handful of auctions. There were, I think, 3 or so who did strictly auctions. That is kind of a high-risk strategy, in my opinion, because you are at the behest of the market to give you whatever it wants for the things that you have. Out of the 50, only 11 of them have higher than 30% of their inventory that is new with tags. Most of it is pre-owned. Again, there was a minority who sold just new with tag stuff, and it's the same story. I think it was actually a couple of the same people that ran the auctions. So eBay has a function where you can apply a store level coupon to all of your listings. You can offer some percentage off automatically of all of your listings if you use a code word. 15 of the 50 did this, implemented this. Most of them were running a 20% coupon, 7 of them, followed by 4 of them running a 15%, 3 of them running a 10%, and only 1 maverick running a 25%. It's not the majority strategy, but it is an interesting strategy, and it's one that I've seen work for people, so something to think about. How important is it to promote your listings? 31 of the 50 promote at least one of their listings. It's not possible to search at a store level. For if people are promoting their listings, you have to search listing by listing. So if I searched a listing and it was promoted, I counted it towards this tally. So it's also unfortunate that it doesn't tell you what percentage they promoted it at. So that is just a complete unknown. But what is known is the majority of these high sell-through stores are implementing some level of promotion on at least some of their inventory. 23 of the 50 were running some kind of a markdown sale on some proportion of their inventory. What a lot of people do is, as their inventory ages, they apply graduated markdown sales that increase in percentage. So for example, if you have something that sits around for 3 weeks, maybe you'll apply it to a 10% markdown sale, or apply the 10% markdown sale to it. If it sits around for another month, maybe you bump it all the way up to 35, 40, 50. I saw a few 75% off markdown sales. That's just to burn the stuff out of your store. I think it's a good idea. Handling time is important. This is another one that took some sleuthing and guesswork because it doesn't just explicitly tell you. 32 of the 50, as far as I could infer, offer 1-day handling time. 1-day handling time or same day is definitely the predominant trend among these people. And this is one thing that I think is pretty good to do if you can logistically pull it off. Free shipping or paid shipping, the eternal spiritual war. 37 of the 50 do paid shipping. Only 9 did just free shipping, and 4 offered paid on some listings and free on others. The reason why I think paid shipping is good, there are technical things to do with eBay's policies that make it appealing. But the big deal, I think, is that it makes the price of the item appear to be smaller. Returns are also controversial. People have really trenchant opinions about returns. People get really indignant about the notion of free returns. Free returns is once more the clear winner on this front. 18 of the 50 offered 30-day free returns. 12 of them offered 60-day free returns. 8 of these sellers offered 30-day paid returns. 12 of them offered no returns. That was a big shock to me. I don't know how to account for this. My instincts tell me that maybe these sellers would sell even more if they offered some kind of return policy. Out of the 50, 26 of them were top rated plus. Top rated plus has benefits associated with it, so if you can qualify for it, probably worth getting. Out of the 50, 49 had 99% positive feedback or higher. Photos are an interesting topic here. Let's talk about the style of photos first. 19 out of the 50 did flat lay photos. 13 of them did hanger photos. A lot of these hanger photos were a combination with the flat lay station. So they have the flat lay station with some fabric on it, and they have a hanger at the top. They hang the shirt or the pants or whatever, and then they kind of do a flat lay arrangement. Only one seller did mostly mannequin photos. 17 of them had a mixture of both. So you don't have to pick one or the other, depending on whatever preference you have that day. You can do flat lays, you can do hanger photos. 10 of them I could tell applied the auto white background feature to their photos. I think auto white backgrounds and white backgrounds generally are overhyped. I think just like a solid gray background probably looks the best, or a lot of people had like wood backgrounds. I don't think it's super important. In fact, one of those sellers had this awful patchwork blanket as their background, and they were kicking ass. They sold a ton of stuff. 6 of the 50 I noticed were using stock photos. I think it is a bad idea to use stock photos because it is technically trademark infringement or copyright infringement, one of the two. They technically have a case to sue you if they want for stealing their photos. Obviously, that's pretty unlikely. It's just kind of gray hat, and I would avoid it. 32 had very minimalist descriptions. This is kind of a subjective judgment call of what counts as minimalist. What I mean by this is it's a plug and play description, meaning they are not copy and pasting information off of the tags into the description. So for example, they're not saying style, color, fabric. It's just one line of description, one quick description of flaws, and that's it. And the rest is just template. Here are my policies, whatever, block text they happen to have. But you can tell they are burning through these listings and just inputting, like copy pasting the title a lot of the times, and then saying great condition, no flaws, or has a small stain on the sleeve, see photos, they're pointing to it in the photo. And then the rest is just kind of template text about shipping policies and look at the photos for measurements. Of the 50, only 3 of them had CSS stylized descriptions. I think it's CSS. That's where they have like a template of some kind of graphic overlay on the description of, it's like gray background with blue titling, and copy paste the images into a certain format, whatever. I think that's very old fashioned. I don't think that it's something I don't think it's something that you need to invest anything into. There's also a clear winner for how these people do their measurements. They show the measurements in the photos. 27 out of the 50 show the measurements in the photos. 15 of them give the measurements in the descriptions, and they don't show the tape measure or the ruler in the photos. And only 3 of them did both. Probably showing measurements in photos is the way to go. I know from experience, this is really a flat lay proposition. It is much harder to do it on a hanger and much, much harder to do it on a mannequin. So if you're doing flat lays, I would probably shoot for that. It's probably much faster, and it's probably easier for the buyer to see the measurements than to intuit, what does pit to pit mean, or what does collar seam to hem mean. Only 5 did no measurements, and this is because, from my observation, their stuff was so good that they were getting away with it. I certainly don't recommend, if you're selling a big volume of used stuff, to not offer measurements. Big question is, how important is it to consistently upload listings every day? It was an even split, 25 versus 25 people who had uploaded listings 3 consecutive days in a row in the past 3 to 4 days versus people who hadn't. A lot of them hadn't uploaded anything since May, since last month. I don't know what to tell you on this front other than it's clearly not a deal breaker if you are not doing the 10 daily uploads on eBay. There are many reasons to do that other than gaming the eBay algorithm, which is why a lot of people do it. But it's not clear to me that this is mandatory to have high sell-through on your store. Those were the objective measures, the things that were mostly not my own opinion. This section is going to be my own assessments. The quality of the brands. This is probably the most valuable thing that I can give you in this video. Out of all of the factors that can be ranked in terms of what constitutes qualifying you for a high sell-through store, the quality of the goods is by far clearly the most crucial element to my mind. Virtually none of these stores did not offer good brands. By good brands, I mean high sell-through brands. 8 of them were selling like only top stuff, only the hits, really luxury stuff, crazy high sell-through brands. It was just pure platinum, 8 of them. The majority, 35 out of 50, had a bunch of these really good brands, so they sold as much of that as they could, the really high sell-through, high dollar brands, and then they filled the rest of their store out with pretty good brands that have a reasonably healthy sell-through that they can make a reasonably good profit on. This is the way. You look for as much of the top quality stuff as you can, and then for the rest of it, you apply a high standard of, or some kind of a strict standard of, I'm not gonna just sell stuff for the sake of selling stuff. I'm not just gonna sell trash because it's available to me. 7 of the 50 did have a mix of the full range. They had brands in there that kind of made me scratch my head of why is this here? But it was clearly working for them, and these were people oftentimes who priced their stuff down relatively low. Nobody was selling mostly mid-tier to low-tier stuff. It's just not a single one. I could not find a single example. If you don't know high sell-through brands, I offer something called the Menswear Manifesto. That's a pay-what-you-want product that documents 401 men's clothing brands broken down by sell-through rate. The link to that is in the description. Prices are also really important. I actually was surprised to find that the majority of these stores are not pricing their stuff at the bottom of the market. Although there are people who follow that model too. 9 of the 50 price their stuff on the low end. I think that's very smart to do for the stuff that is not high sell-through. 7 of the 50 had really high prices, and they're probably doing that and then accepting offers. 4 of them had too broad of a variation in their pricing structures for me to really get a clear beat on it. I think that was a lot of vintage sellers, so it's on a case-by-case basis. And then 2 of them were only running auctions, so it wasn't relevant. Photo quality is important, but it is not, I don't think, as important as people think it is. Out of the 50, only 3 stores had photos that elicited a wow reaction from me of like, these are professional quality, these are really good, these are standout, excellent quality. 28 of them were good enough. I qualified as good. This just means they don't have a bunch of junk in the background. They're clean, you can see the garments clearly, they're in focus, the color matching is decent, the lighting is good enough. They might be a little dark. It might be a touch blurry here and there where there is a little bit of hand motion on the camera, but overall you can see what it is you're potentially buying. I think that's really all you have to shoot for, which is easier said than done because clothing photography is pretty tricky. 14 of the 50 I qualified as fair, meaning they looked bad, but okay, like you can see what it is. 5 of them sucked. 5 of them were embarrassing. There was just some workstation that they used for hard goods and they sloppily folded it up and like overhand lobbed it at the back of the station, and whatever pile it fell into, they photographed. This is only barely hyperbolic. So they're pulling it off. They're making it work. The reason they are making it work is because they're selling really in-demand stuff. That will forgive a lot of errors. Not to say that you can be sloppy or should be sloppy or that they wouldn't be doing better if they weren't committing these grievous acts. The formatting of the titles, everybody except for one guy who is also a bad photo guy had basically the same format, which is you start with the brand name and then you put in a bunch of relevant keywords after the brand name and you max out the character count. The key takeaways, the TLDR here, focus on brand quality. That to me is absolutely the most important thing, is the quality of the brand. Like not just brand, you're sourcing things that are in demand. So it's the right brand, the right sizes, the right kind of garment, because there are garments within each brand that are not in low demand. Maybe the seasonality is on point. This to me is the keystone element. And these people are not mixing in a bunch of other crap that they find for the sake of listing other crap that they find. This is, again, just in the service of the high sell-through. And maybe you're in a situation where you don't actually put high priority on sell-through for your store. I'm sure there are already people who haven't gotten this far in the video who have left pissed off comments about how it's stupid to have this as a metric, whatever. Like, everybody has a different model for reselling, but if you want the high sell-through, just sell things that are in high demand is the thing. You can find that stuff at the bins, you can find it at garage sales, but most of it you're probably going to find at retail thrifts. After that, getting the photos just good enough and getting those policies set of the paid shipping, probably do a flat rate. I would run progressive sales as inventory ages. I would consider doing a store-wide coupon. I would offer free returns, either 30 or 60 days. I would do flat lay photos. I personally would do a flat lay station. I think that that's ergonomically much better for you over the long term. I would be very cautious about messing around with ground photography over the course of an entire career. And I would not put too much effort into your descriptions. I would come up with a nice clean template of your policies and then just put in some relevant detail and, you know, blow through the tags, max them out as much as you can without spending too much time on it. Again, there are exceptions, and this is only one sample size of 50 stores out of thousands of eBay stores. But it is possible, and it did take a while to find 50, but it didn't take forever to find 50. I would say about 1 in 20 stores when I was searching for really high sell-through brands qualified as even sell-through at a store level. It is absolutely the minority of stores who are selling everything, but it's an elite club that is joinable, clearly. I hope that this helps. Once again, Menswear Manifesto in the description is a great place to start. It should make you a ton of money, and good luck.